So, on today's podcast episode, I wanted to talk about saving money. Saving money, I think, is or can be very hard to do, very hard to master. It could be hard to be disciplined in doing that. And especially for millennials, I think it's very hard to save money because, everybody wants to buy what they want to buy. And the only thing standing between you and getting the item is nothing but money. And so if it takes just giving some money to get the item, you're just probably just going to buy it as long as you have the money. But the problem with that is that you can run out of money. And there is just no doubt about that. And that is an unfortunate reality. That, the more we want something and get it, the more we run out of money. And then when you don't have any, then things get a little complicated. Um, I think it's hard to save money. This is just my own thought I put together on why it's hard to save money. And I think the reason it's hard to save money or can be is because earning money is not so easy. If you ever think about what it takes for you to have some money on you, um, you have to get a job. And what do you do at that job? You have to work for a certain amount of hours, and you may not want to be there, but that's what it takes for you to earn money. And so, a lot of the items that we would like to have, and a lot of the outdoor food that we like to get, and services costs money. Okay. And so that is pretty much the game right there. That laptop you want costs money. Even if it's used, it costs money. It just costs less money. Um, Whether it's a bag of chips, a piece of candy, a cell phone, shoes, clothes, even shoelaces. If you need that, it costs money. And so if you have no money and you want any of these items, you can't get it for free. Like, no one just gives you the item that you want like that from a store. Like, it's not like you can go to a store and say, "Hey, I don't have money right now. Can I just get a freebie and get this item, this hat, or this bag of chips that cost $1?" It's not free. And so, to me, money is not a natural thing. It is a man-made thing, especially with the way we handle it and what cost what amount. All that plays into how difficult it could be to save money. And especially for people that are, in their teens, especially for people that are in their teens, um, and people that are, just turned 21, and people that are in their 20s that are just holding their job right now, or maybe their first job or whatever. Most jobs don't pay that great, you know. Um, and so when you talk about starting off, you just got out of high school and you're just going to get a job. Usually jobs, even though they're everywhere, jobs aren't necessarily that great. They're not that great to need to attend, and they're not that great of a money earner. And okay, right there, your first job or your job at an early age. I'm talking about early age. Now, obviously, most people, or if not everyone around that age, want a job to be able to have money to get stuff they want and to chill more with their friends and go out places with their friends and do all these exciting things with their friends and buy, the laptops, buy themselves a nice phones and every item they want. That is typically the mindset of people who get jobs, especially around those early ages. Because that job, moving forward into your future, it's still the reason you even work, either way. But I'm saying, like, at the early age, what you really, really want is stuff. And, have the nice things, go wherever and just blow the money. Okay, so that first job or jobs overall typically don't pay that great. And so that in the mix, jobs not paying that great, plus the things you want being expensive. Most of it's pretty expensive, or it can get expensive when you get it a lot. Combining that with just the cost of everything else, and the boredom, when you get bored, or when you feel hungry, or when you feel like it's time to have fun, all these things that play in life, it can be hard to save money, especially around that age where you just want to chill with your friends, not necessarily thinking about not chilling with friends to save money because you want to have important things going on. And so it can be hard to save money overall because, like I said, jobs typically don't pay that great. And let's say you even went to college, graduated, and it's a high-end job, and let's say this job happened to be in the area of engineering or coding, or some sort of, high-end engineering or accounting, and you managed to get yourself to earn close to $100,000 a year with your job. Okay, you may have gotten to that level, but if you ever think about the cost of living anyways, and what even took to get that money, it still costs a fortune with college and all that. It took a huge step. It took almost like a money on the line chance of doing this. Because if you're not good in college, you're going to be costing yourself money. If you ever realize that, college isn't a place to fail, in my opinion, because if you're failing semesters and semesters and you have to retake them, that costs money. And so that is already like hurdle number one out of many hurdles that just makes it that process that makes that process to earn good money difficult is that if you take the college route, there's a lot of money on the line. You can't screw around. You have to pass. And then you're going to be owing. And who knows what the future holds for you that, let's say you find a job in time. Let's say that first gig of a job pays well. You're going to have to want a high-end paying job already. Not work for, $15 an hour or even 20. And, with the bills and the loans, you still have a hard time. So that is like a process to earn good money, but it takes way too much risk and a lot of money. It's like almost like opening up a business and not knowing how it's going to go. But it can be hard to save money because of all these things. Let's say, like I said, you're going to college. Let's say you're going to college and working part-time because you want to have money while you're doing this. It could be that at that point, it's going to be triple times harder to save money. I mean, you need to get there to college. You still need to have fun. You still want to buy stuff. So working part-time at that level, it's part-time. So you're really going to have to make sure you budget. And so it's just common sense to think that's going to be hard to save money doing those things. And so now let's talk about if you aren't going to college and are just working or doing whatever you do for a career to earn money, and it's difficult for you to save money. It can be difficult for the average person or for almost everybody, simply because when you have money and it looks like you have enough money to enjoy, you will find that so long as you could see you can afford these things, even if it's little items, even if it's going to Starbucks multiple times a week, you're going to realize that you're going to keep going to these places so long as you have the money. Because I think in everyone's mind, what plays in people's minds is that when you have this money and you're doing the usual, buying these things, getting your Starbucks routinely, then doing that, even without that much money, being able to do these things and constantly gives people the sense of feeling like they are wealthy and the feeling like they're living life while moving closer to what they want, because they're featuring all these things they like to buy, and these things are what makes the life more exciting. Like you want to succeed, right? While still eating drive-through and fast food. You would like to succeed while you're usually going to get your Starbucks in the morning because that's your thing. You'd like to succeed while you still purchase that expensive clothes or shoes, And like I said, you have some money to play with. And then that some money that you have, it can be hard to save with the things being the price that it is. How often you like to get these things. and then slash, you know, let's say the days you may want to buy a little more than normal, and you want to cure the boredom. You want to like not be bored. Like if you're hungry and you want some excitement, you want to watch a movie and kick back. What could be the thing that comes to your mind with that? Takeout. You want to get takeout, whatever it is, pizza, Chinese, whatever. And so that costs money. And let's say you weren't even thinking about getting takeout, but it just came to mind because you watched this movie, and it's like, you know, 1 + 2 = 3. You know, it was just that moment where it's just like, what a great idea. And so in that situation with the movie and then getting the takeout, in that situation, what's going on is you are living in a way where it's just pure comfort for yourself. You want to chill, you want this food, you get it. But how much did this cost? You know, on this day, you want to make exciting, you want to get this food. You know, let's say you get a large pizza with a lot of toppings, and then you get maybe some fries on the side. That may cost you like almost $25, maybe. It'd be in the 20s for the delivery. And you didn't plan to spend $20 that day. But it's just one of those things where I'm sure it happens to everybody. You know, a good idea comes to mind, you know, usually involves spending a little money. Let's say it just came to you that maybe you want to go shopping today. It's a great day, and it just came to mind like, oh crap, shopping? You weren't thinking about shopping, but this shopping idea sounds nice. You go into your bank account, you see that you have some money, right? You're not completely not, you know, less. And so all of a sudden you go shopping. All of a sudden you spend maybe a little over $100. And so what you would be keeping yourself from doing, saving money, is that where you just like do things on the fly, and whenever you feel good about getting this, you have to remind yourself that even though it'd be fun to do, it's going to really blow your pockets, and you're going to be short again. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that is the deep trap. And I'm talking about a realistic deep trap that can get everybody, is that with the money, you feel like you can just do these things constantly. And then once you run yourself out of money, that is when you start to wish that you saved money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, if only I didn't do this. But then once the money comes to you, the pattern can just happen again, where you are spending this the way it is. It could just be in a different way. Maybe you stop buying Starbucks often just to save some money. But let's say now you are doing more grocery shopping. Believe it or not, grocery shopping could save you money, but if you don't get the right stuff, you could be going to the grocery shopping more than you need to because you're overeating, and now you're just constantly spending, and last thing you want with saving money is to literally stop doing something to compensate, but what you're doing to compensate is actually doubling what you spend. And so that is the hard thing to do, is stopping yourself from, for example, getting Starbucks often and spending almost $10 a day. Think about it. $10 a day, that's $50. Plus weekend doing and spending whatever. You could have easily spent $500 that week. You know what I'm saying? And so $500 on average times 4 weeks, that's a month. We're looking about almost $2,000 a month blown. And that is just on fun. Now just imagine if you had other huge bills. We're looking about almost like, $4,000 down the drain. And so going back to what I said, jobs typically don't pay that well. And many like places don't pay that well off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, even if you were to start your own business or you are doing your own thing, whatever that is, to get it going is going to take dropping money in it. Even if you have a website, if you're in a band, that's going to take money. Like if you want to do the touring, that's going to take money. Like you're going to need the van, you're going to need money for equipment, and you're going to need money for hotels. You're going to need money for the gas. You're going to need money for food, and I can go on and on and on. And then that could cost money. Like, let's say your high-end job too that you're doing. Let's say it pays $25 an hour and you're working 40 hours a week. Okay, like you're making decent money. But guess what happens when you start making, quote, decent money? Let's say you're making $25 and up an hour. Let's say you're making just $25 an hour right now. Okay, that's great. Let's say you're single, you don't have kids, or even so, whatever. Here's the trap that I talked about. So you think you have more money. You're very, amped up about this high-paying job, right? High-paying career. And you feel like you lucked out in this job and you're just in it and you're earning what you're earning. Well, guess what? You are going to be so amazed about this money thing. Already, like your mind is going to be like about the money. You're excited about earning this kind of money that you haven't earned before. And so you are gonna think big. You are gonna think about what are you going to start spending on now. You understand that part? That is what happens. That is what happens when you get a, quote, good paying job. That is even what happens when you get approved for a loan or a credit card. That is what happens when you end up winning maybe the lottery a little bit. Let's say you won a mini fortune. Let's say you won $5,000 in the lottery. Let's say you won $10,000 at the lottery. $10,000 is a lot of money for one person, I think. Guess what? Typically, what happened when these opportunities of big money comes in, that almost defeats the purpose of everything. You want to start spending big. You start to finance a more expensive car. You start to get more expensive places, buying more expensive, only because you jumped a little bit up in the ladder. You jumped up in the nickel, as they say. And so, with that looking nice, you start spending big. And it almost feels, I think, automatic to spend big, to spend more. Let's say you are 22 years old, earning $25 an hour. And college is not your thing. Okay. And you're a dude. Okay, you're going to want to buy a nice high-end vehicle, sporty vehicle. So that is going to be already a bill with the loan and what you're paying for it, plus the insurance. That's going to be there. If you're into snowboarding, then you're going to be having the equipment. That costs money. Going to the place costs money. You're going to be chilling out more with your friends or with your girl, whatever. You're always an outdoors guy, going here and going there. That's going to cost money. You're into getting a house. That's going to cost money. You're buying MacBooks. You're buying high-end iPhones. You're buying expensive bikes. Expensive sports equipment. You're buying supplements all the time, high-end stuff. Let's say you're going out traveling a lot, staying at hotels, going here, going there. You're doing all that simply because of this job that is paying you a lot. But all those things I said, you probably won't be able to do as smoothly as you think, or maybe that person won't be able to do most of those things that I talked about at $25 an hour, simply because already things are going to be too expensive. It's going to add up in a way where you don't see it added up, or most people or almost everybody won't see it's a problem until it's a problem. Until the moment comes that you realize you're tight and that you could have done better at saving. When that moment comes, that's when you realize that you were in for a ride that you weren't aware of, because of the flow of how you use your money. Everybody uses the money to have a flow in their life, and that flow is part of your personality, in my opinion. The flow with money you have is part of your personality. Let's say you like to go to the gym a lot. Okay, you're a healthy dude, right? Okay, and guess what? It costs money to get supplements, have them all the time, eat right, and get your high end stuff. Costs money for the gym membership. You know, all this that you like to do, it costs money. And so at that point, all these things add up that you don't expect, because the flow of how you spend, you probably may not realize that what the way you spend, you may think that you're spending right, or you think that you are good at managing yourself from having money and not having money. But the reality could be that that you have things going on that actually is not making you much money, and is actually keeping you at the same rate as if you were earning $25 trying to do a bunch of things. As if you were getting paid $24 an hour and doing a bunch of things. And that is what happens when you think you have enough money, or things look like it's something, and then it could just be that it's not the case. Like you could realize when it's too late that it's not a good way to do your thing. Like, you have to come to a point then, and this is where it's complicated. You have to come to a point where you realize that you have to kind of put a stop on these flows. You have to put a stop on this personality thing that you like to do, where you getting Starbucks routinely is part of this mantra to feel more alive, to live in the day and do what you're going to do, and because you're going to do something amazing, and and all this stuff. You have to put a stop, and that is the hard part, where you are purposely, this is the hard part, and also the part that I think separates the humans from animals. It's just this intellectual part right here, where you have to live outside of the I don't want to say habit. What's the other word? Yes, you want to live outside of the instinct that you are already living. Because I think that is an instinct to live like that, in that flow, in that personality thing that I was talking about. And so that's the part where, if you want to save money, you have to say, okay, it's the $10 I normally spend in Starbucks today, I'm not going to get Starbucks today. You pretty much say, screw Starbucks today. And you don't get it. And so what else could you do? Okay, let's say typically you go out shopping in the weekend and spend, I don't know, like $80 to $100 on the weekend for clothes. Well, this weekend you won't do that. You'll say, forget that. I'm not going to do this thing. And so you saved yourself $110 already for that week. But the question is, what does the person do instead of that? That is the magical question. what do you do instead of spending $10 at Starbucks? Because the point is to save money. So if you don't spend $10 in Starbucks, the last thing you want to do is spend $10 somewhere else. Because at that point, you might as well have just gone into Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? And so, you don't want to spend $10 on another outdoor quick item. Instead, you would want to, if you're even going to spend $10, the best way to go would be to spend those $10 on, let's say, milk and eggs. Now, let's say you go as far as getting them both organic, which is the extra of health, right? That, in my opinion, overrides the choice of getting the Starbucks. Because at that point, you're going to be doing another thing on top of saving money. You're going to have food that lasts multiple days. And these two items are optimal. They give you like a lot of health. Like I said, they're organic. It's not even that expensive. I'm talking about $10. And for those items, you probably spend like what, almost $7, maybe $8. But this is just an example. You now made $10 split into what, 5 days worth? And that is pretty much the equivalent of now spending $1 a day. And so that, at that point, that is the alternative to not spend the $10 at Starbucks and spend the $10 wisely. Another option could have been that you don't spend any money at all that day. You know? And that's even better because now you have $10 for tomorrow. So, you see? And so the question is, if you don't spend let's say you don't spend any money that day at all, what do you do for the rest of the day, the 24 hours? And this is where I think you have to be prepared for that reality. I think if you are going to try to save money, you should think about these things. And this is why I'm bringing it up, so you can realize this maybe sooner than later. Is that if you could think ahead of time about that you're not gonna necessarily have your Starbucks today, or you're not gonna have that fun pleasure of going out shopping today. Well, what are you going to do instead of that doesn't require spending money? Because in my opinion, if you can go, let's say even 72 hours without spending any kind of money in outdoor food, online shopping, or just anything like chips or anything. If you can go 72 hours without spending money, that's 3 days. You did yourself a huge favor. That is the equivalent in a reversed way of giving yourself an extra $50 in the week, because those 3 days technically did not happen because you didn't spend money. And so now when you're going to finally spend money, you're going to realize that you have more money And now with more money, the best thing you could do at that moment is get critical about what you're going to be spending on and start dissecting things. Because the key is to be good at being resourceful and knowing what you're getting. And it's about succeeding with what you buy. Just like when you, for the example I gave, where you spend on the milk and the eggs and they were organic, that's a better alternative slash going a little extra. It doesn't have to be organic, by the way. I'm just saying, of just the extra miles you can go with making an alternative that doesn't involve pretty much throwing your money away. Like for Starbucks, for example, doing it often, I think, is like throwing your money away, because you're spending a fortune for coffee and a fortune for a piece of bread with some meat in it that you call a sandwich, something you could do at home. And so that is the example right there. And you have to like think about, what are you going to do instead of that? Instead of doing what you usually do. You know, you're going to have movies ready to watch. Maybe you could just binge watch movies the whole day and just eat grocery foods. It's a lot of things people don't do, is focus on eating the grocery foods that last longer. For example, you make yourself a nice, delicious turkey club sandwich with bacon. And it has everything in it: lettuce, tomatoes, bacon, it's cheese, and you put a lot of meat in it. It's just an awesome sandwich. That is going to fill you up, and you could have a sandwich multiple times and also throughout the week. And that have cost you much little money. You know what I'm saying? And so the key, all that I talked about was just to get to the simpler point. Yeah, that was just to like prepare your mind for the simpler point I'm going to make. And that is that if you can go 24 hours without spending any kind of money for fun, like outdoor food. And I mainly mention outdoor food because outdoor food, I think, is the number one thing that people could easily spend money on. Drive-through stuff, takeout, restaurant, just going in there to eat. Food could definitely be something that could drain your money, especially if you really like food and really like food, to kick back and chill and just make the most of your day. Food could easily be the thing that drains your money. Sushi, if you like sushi, that's expensive. If you're treating other people to these types of things, that's expensive. If you're getting takeout for everyone other than yourself, that can get expensive. Or even for yourself. Let's say you really like to get the most out of these takeouts. There could be times where you spend a mini fortune on yourself alone, on food. And that could chip away all the money. And then let's say a new phone comes out. Or let's say you want, even as far as maybe you want new rims for your car. Well, it could be that when that point comes where you are thinking about getting these rims, it could be that you don't even have enough money to get these things, that rim. You know what I'm saying? And all the rims are is just more stuff that you want. You know what I'm saying? And if we're talking about stuff, that is important to talk about, because wanting stuff is the reason why saving money can be difficult in the first place. Stuff, if you think about it, rims, that's stuff. Um, let's say a new flat screen TV, stuff, expensive stuff, by the way. More shoes, clothes, that starts to turn into stuff right there already. Stuff. Um, wanting stuff can be really hard to say no to. Like, wanting stuff, I think, is the thing that holds the money system together. It's like stuff. Of course you want stuff, man. Of course you want a piece of electronic. Of course you want that surround sound system. Of course you want that nice car. Of course you want that electronic chair or whatever it is. Let's say you want a sofa. A sofa can be expensive, even though it's a sofa. It's something you sit on. It can cost a lot of money for a sofa. And so the trick is to try to overcome that reality. You have to realize this, because this is something I realize. You have to realize this, is that you have to overcome wanting stuff. You have to overcome that reality of that you want stuff. You have to realize that the system of money is depending on you yourself wanting stuff. Okay, that is a reality right there. The system relies on you wanting stuff. You work and now you want stuff. It knows that already. You know what I'm saying? It knows that most electronics are expensive. It knows that, rent is expensive. It knows that houses are expensive. It knows clothes can be expensive. It knows outdoor food can be expensive. It knows this. And so what can be hard to do is detach yourself mentally from wanting stuff, like most people, and looking from outward in and say, no, I don't want this item like that. I don't want it just like that. I don't want to get it often. You have to think about it like that and say, I have to put myself a stop. I can't be so automatic to buy and buy and buy. Because if you think about it, when you constantly buy at that location, at your favorite spot to eat, it's like, okay, well, you ate, but it's not like you could have not eaten, because you could have bought grocery food. You know what I'm saying? And if you could buy grocery food and make yourself a mean, delicious, awesome sandwich, or prep yourself something good, then what's the point of constantly buying outdoors at this spot? Like, you're gonna realize that even though you're buying this food at this spot you like to eat at, it's almost, it's actually wasting your money. It's like spending your money, and then it starts to turn into like empty calorie spending. That's the way I like you to look at it, because I think it's good to understand it that way. Okay, going back to the Starbucks example. Starbucks, for coffee and that little sandwich, $10. This is just an example. Okay, I can understand. It's understandable. I think by the universe, you could just understand of wanting a Starbucks at least once a week, or just having it. It makes sense to have a time where you get it and you enjoy it and blah blah blah. But if you start getting it every day ish, I think it starts to turn into an empty calorie thing, where it's like you're practically giving money away for free, because coffee and a little sandwich is something you can make at home. You know what I'm saying? And you can save yourself way more money, and even gas trip, and even just the time spending in line. Like, you could save yourself all that, making your own coffee and making your own little sandwich. You know what I'm saying? And even a more healthier sandwich, and a more filling sandwich, a bigger sandwich. You know what I'm saying? That is where spending this money on that Starbucks, it's like you're giving money away, and you're feeling amazing, but it's just blowing your money, and you start to realize your money's blown when you want to get other things and do other things, and you find yourself you're short. But it's hard to detach from getting the Starbucks all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so if you get yourself into that position where you're looking outward in and you realize how things are moving, you could be that person that wants to save money in a real way, because you stopped yourself. You're realizing how you spend money. You're realizing that, spending, for example, on clothes, 100 something bucks a week on clothes, even though you have a lot of clothes, you just have to wear them differently, mix match a little bit, make the clothes last. You're going to realize that it's empty calories spending when you do it too much. It's like you're giving money away, and then what you're getting, you spend, $20, $30 on a t-shirt. Yeah, you got it. And a few other t-shirts, you spend like 100 something bucks, but you're going to realize that for what you spent, the t-shirt's nice, but it becomes an empty calories thing, because the t-shirt then is just whatever compared to the money you could have had to do something else that doesn't, blow the money so fast. But to get to that level, you have to realize this and start thinking already, like, how can you move differently in this system that requires you or expects you to binge spend, just spend on here, spend on there, and think about spending and spending and spending, because if you think about it, you don't hear much about saving. You hear more about spending, spending, and spending. And then they want to throw you a credit card offer, but they're not throwing a money saving offer. It's just credit card. And then with a credit card, what it does is it makes you feel, it gives you the confidence to work with money you don't have and work with big money that you don't have. You know, it makes you feel rich to start things that you can't afford with your own money. And so using your own money feels so scary, because at least with something that goes slow, it doesn't cut you off so fast. So saving money, if you want to do it seriously, I've tried this and I'm getting better at it, is I look at it like this. I look at it as a game of, can I go 24 hours without spending on this item? I look at it like that, as a challenge. Ask yourself that. Can you go 24 hours without spending any money today? Can you go 48? Now can you go 72? You know? You try that, but don't do it out of the blue like that. Do it with preparation. You know, maybe get good groceries to survive for the week. Good amount. You know, get into the habit of making yourself something to eat at home. You know, with the food you got, the grocery food. Okay. Skip out on the shopping spree. Skip out on the outdoor food, and look at outdoor food as not as healthy anyways. And just overall, just think about things a little differently. Maybe even go as far to get healthier outdoor food. It's all about skipping out and spending. Yeah, that's what I could have said and made it simpler. You could skip out on spending and then just make sure that when it comes to time where you do spend, you don't defeat the purpose of spending more than what you saved. So that's the trick you have to balance. And so what I'm trying to get at is, let's say you save a lot of money doing this process, and you get better at saving money. When you get to the point where you have a good amount of money, make sure that when it comes to spending, you keep that same format going, keep that same habit going, where it's like you start to get critical about, how you're going to spend to make sure that you win and get something that matters and that, it's going. Because the last thing you want to do is say, wow, I finally accumulated $50,000. And then you go out and buy a $25,000 car. And then, you do a $5,000 upgrade on the car. And then you're short again. You know what I'm saying? And so at that point, that becomes the bigger challenge. The bigger challenge is the moment where you finally save money. You finally have this money. You have money to play with. But now you break down and say, man, you know what? I haven't spent money in so long. I've been hardcore saving for so long. Don't fall into the trap where you start thinking like that and say, finally, I need to treat myself. And then you go out and spend big on a TV and then get into the habit of this habit of money is feeling like it's infinite thing because you have some money to play with. Don't get into that mindset of it's been a while. Let me break the habit now. Because once you break that, that's when you can start going short and short and short again. And so what I'm trying to get at, if I could put it in a good way, is it's the equivalent of trying to eat healthy. You're eating healthy, you're doing this, that, and that right. Okay, guess what? When you start slopping, when you start to get sloppy with the healthy eating, guess what? You're going to start getting the gut and you're going to start feeling like crap. So you kind of have to look at it as the same thing. I think it's the same thing as trying to get in shape, trying to save money. And just like there's many hacks, like you get the coconut oil, you do intermittent fasting, and you do exercise and cardio and rest periods and all that stuff and eat healthy. Just like there's all these things you have to do to eat healthy, there's all these things you have to like go through your mind to try to save. You have to skip out on spending. And then when you realize that you're making more money and saving, and that you usually have more money now because you're skipping out on spending, don't take that time to, now that you have money to play with, pretty much blow it. Because then it's going to become a challenge and more depressing to see things just, be cut down quick and then have to start again. Because what I'm trying to get at is that it can be depressing to have your money spent like that. It's hard. It's more easier to blow the money than it is to save. You could figure that out for yourself why. But if you're being good at saving, don't cut your money down because you want to go on a spending spree, because you believe that now is the time to treat yourself. Because when you do that, you're going to go on a spending spree thinking money's infinite, and then you're going to cut yourself. You're going to cut your money down. And so figure out ways to have days where you don't spend money. Skip out on spending for fun. Spending outdoor for food, that's fun. So, getting the takeout, that's fun. That could easily go into the $30, $50, depending on where you get these things. So, learn to skip out and don't feel guilty or feel bad about skipping out. Instead, think about it as a game of, I'm going to survive this 24 hours not spending. Just like you could do it for eating healthy. Can you go 24 hours fully eating healthy for real? And it's just 24 hours. Just a countdown of a clock. So yeah. Don't defeat the purpose if you're doing it. Because that is a trap, right? That is the trap. I'll repeat it again in shorter term. When you have money, you're going to want to spend it. The trick is to not spend it. Skip out on days you typically would spend it. That's for fun. Find ways to go through the 24 hours without spending money and not feel bad about it, not feel like it's bothering you or bugging you, like, oh man, I really want to get this takeout today. I'm not saying either to never do it. I'm saying to skip out because you want to save money. Because let's say you're earning $600 every week from your job. Okay? And typically you would spend your money, and then let's say by the next payday you have $0. Okay, well, what if by the next payday you had like $250 in the bank? I can tell you right now that if you're that kind of person, you know, let's say you usually have your last $20 left or $50, you're going to be happy to see $250 by the time payday comes. I can guarantee it. But to get to that level, you have to do all those things I talked about. And you have to realize that there is some empty calorie spending. If you were to look at this as a game, like a Sudoku game, you're going to realize that most of the things you spend on, it's going to be empty calorie spending. It could be amazing to spend for fun. Yeah, you gained something, you bought something, you got it. But you're going to realize that as you see what the empty calorie spending is, you're going to have less empty calorie spending and more fuller calorie spending, like wholesome calorie. Like, for what could it be? The whole one is that, you know, by the time you have money saved because you're doing this process and it comes time to spending, you spend on something that is really, 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 really the thing that you want to get. Okay? For example, you start to get critical with how you spend, like I've been saying. So when it comes down to clothes, instead of spending that big amount of money the way you do, let's say instead you get something that's not that expensive. And because it's not that expensive, you're able to get more clothes. And let's say these clothes, you're using it for your workouts, you know, or just casual wear. If you get to that level, then that is how you're making it not defeat the purpose. And what you're going to realize is that you're going to have more, and you're going to feel like you have more all the time, and you're getting more, spending less. Because you're going to be critical how you spend, and you're going to be an alternatives guy. And you become more resourceful. And so you're going to realize that there's like a great power and almost like an ability that comes out from saving money and looking at things this way. Is that you're going to have multiple things now in your hands. It's just that now what's driving that is you spending wisely and you just skipping out more, you know. And then come time to the spending, you are doing this moment where at that moment it's like the equivalent of, let's say someone gives you a lump sum of money. Let's say they give you $2,000. At that point, let's say you're so good at doing this thing I said, you make $2,000 last, and you got everything you need. And let's say 5 months go by, and off those $2,000, after 5 months, you have $600 left, $800 left. That's just an example. It's just that you took that lump sum of money and you knew how to spend it. You skipped out, even though you had the money to, go on a spree and do whatever, you did the extra step of having a procedural thinking with it and said, okay, $2,000 to start. Okay, groceries. I'm gonna load up on groceries. Boom. That's like what, $100? You started with that. Let's say you did a car repair that needed a repair. You finally did that. You're more good to go now. You're skipping out on, spending on clothes and whatever. You're skipping out on getting the takeouts. You're skipping out on traveling a little bit. You do all these things, you're going to realize that, wow, this $2,000 lasts a while. And then when it comes to spending clothes, and you're spending more smartly, and you're spending less for a t-shirt, you're going to realize, wow, I've been ripping myself off the whole time, always spending $30 on a t-shirt, when I could just spend 10 to 15 bucks on a t-shirt that's pretty much even almost better looking and same material as the other t-shirt. You're gonna start doing yourself a favor. You're gonna be unlocking realities doing this process. And with all these realities, you're gonna realize, oh my God, like, I unlocked something, which is saving money. And so with all that I said, that is the ultimate way to save money. The bigger trick for a different discussion is, how do you make money that isn't from a job that you go to attend because you want to earn your own money? That's a different story. But we're talking about saving money, and typically a job anyone can find. And most days today, jobs pay decent. And so that's the real deal, nitty-gritty challenge that matters, I think, in the life for most people and everybody, is saving money. Especially as a millennial, saving money. Can you do it? Can you go 24 hours without spending on anything? Can you set something up to try this challenge and save money? Because I can guarantee it that, let's say you go these 24 hours without spending, and then you go another 48, and then you go another 72, and let's say you had your last $200 till payday. I can guarantee that by the time payday comes, even if you have $100 left till payday comes, you're going to feel as if you have $500. It's going to feel amazing. You're going to feel like something is finally happening. And that is, there's money there. It's going to feel as if someone gave you those $100. Because typically they would have not been there, because you're usually on this flow of personality spending. And so you're going to feel proud that there's $100 till the next payday. Now you get better and better at it. Now you have almost $200, $250 till the next payday. It's going to feel amazing. And you're going to realize that you're doing this. You don't feel like it's taking from you. You're going to feel more powerful. That you're doing something that matters and has to do with money, and that is saving it, because you're not going by the gerbil mind of just spending automatically. Now you're going by a procedural mind that says, wait a minute, I'm not going to freeload spend. It blows my money. And I need to do other stuff, or would like to do other stuff. So that is where the intellect comes in. where you get procedural about it. And you start to make a process about things because it matters now. And it's really important. So that is how to save money according to me, and how I like to do it and think about things. Because it's how I thought about things that helped me save money. Like, you know, with eating fast food, for example, treating yourself to dessert or whatever, I started to realize, yeah, I like this stuff, but I kind of feel crappy sometimes when I get it. I don't feel the best. And then I start to think, if we're talking about food, why not make myself a sandwich? And then when I make myself a sandwich and I enjoy it, I realize, wow, I got the same satisfaction. It's just that all I ever needed was to have food. I just never went as far to feed myself. You know, I always would buy something. But then if you get into this habit to make yourself a sandwich, you're going to realize, wow, I got more full off this than the Starbucks sandwich. That's barely a sandwich, barely filling. You put more meat in yours, more cheese, it's just more better. And you have enough to make more sandwiches almost every day. And you spend almost $8 for just those items. You're going to realize that you unlock a path, a lane of almost of success. And you unlock some sort of skill to do this. This only matters if you're able to do it how I said it. Nothing matters at all from what I said. But even if you aren't good at doing this, it's good to know about it. Because it's a reality that you may come to at a time where it's like, OMG, nothing's what it seems. You know, buying that coffee is actually ripping me off. Because it's just coffee. You know, you're going to realize you've been standing in line for way longer than what you should to spend $10 on coffee plus gas trip. You're going to realize that all you ever needed was to snap out of it to see that. Like I said, you're being outward to look in to how things are going. You're going to see yourself as a person in line for more than what you need to for a coffee and a little sandwich. And you're going to realize, wow, I can't believe I used that for my life, for my personality. It was actually wasting my time. You know, it's just one of those things where it's it's the OMG reality that you're going to start having with things as you get better and better at doing this, and just getting a little critical and analytical and getting procedural about how you spend your money now to feel good, feel in control, and feel like you have things set down in a way where it's you are all set. So all I said could have just sounded interesting to you. And that's good. But it's important to know, at least, because even if you don't do or try this process or get into the mindset to try this process from what I said, it's good to know, because you want to see, with this in mind, what I said, you want to see that when you spend on whatever, let's say you went to brisket and you usually get your brisket with your usual sides, you're going to realize that it's not necessary. You're going to realize it's not necessary for you to get it as often as you do. And then you want to start to want to be a person of alternatives. And that's the point that I hope you reach when you become the person of alternatives because you realize something, not because you become it. Only if you realize this and you become, maybe this can help you. Because the alternatives of all that I said, that's what helps you save money and do other things. It's going to almost feel like magic, where it's like, wow, I realized something. Now I'm spending better. And I realize that most things are ripping me off. Most things price is not what it seems. And you're going to just realize, wow, making yourself a sandwich at home is way more healthier and wholesome and filling than getting that mini sandwich for a fortune. It's just that little example is going to start to be in other things, and you're going to realize, wow, maybe it isn't so necessary to buy booze all the time. You know what I'm saying? You're going to start getting into this because it's going to feel great. You're going to feel like you're winning in the game. So saving money, you know, you get better and better and better. Like all of a sudden you open more doors, and it's like, wow. So this is where I'll end it. I felt like I had to say all that to get to the point, to just a simple point, because I feel like the more examples you see, the more it's like it taps into your mind, you know. So hopefully this podcast episode was awesome. Hopefully people understood it. I think that's the number one thing that matters. And hopefully you're able to save money with this as you get it engraved in your mind of what I said. And yeah, good luck and stay tuned for more stuff. I may make a new podcast talking about music a little bit and other stuff like that. Just, you know, about music that I'm doing, and, you know, maybe a bit of how I go through the process of making some stuff. But today was just about saving money. I hope everybody finds this useful, and good luck to everybody.